All right, this is the thing. The 8th of August, which is the year 2024, it is a day that the nation expected to take to the streets to continue with their push for accountability, good governance, transparency, and an end to corruption, pushing the government to the edge until the president resigns. Now, the protest today might not have resulted into what we've experienced in the last few weeks, but they are protests all the same. Now, the government is eager to find who is funding the protests, and on that particular case, one man has found himself on the receiving end of this particular pursuit, and that is businessman Jimmy Wanjigi, who at the moment police are on his pursuit, trying to apprehend him on claims that he is allegedly funding the Gen Z protests. Of course, we do have our reporter on the ground who will be bringing us up to date with the details of exactly what is happening as far as that front is concerned. My name is Brian Amuai, but first, top stories tonight. Tonight, 174 people arrested and more than 30 people injured as police engage crowds in running battles during the Nane Nane demonstrations.
Kenyans demand and not only deserve, but are constitutionally entitled to servant leadership. All levels of public service, from the cabinet all the way to the grassroots, have no choice but to live up to the truest standard of servant leadership.
President William Ruto asked Kenyans to support the newly appointed CSs as they seek to deliver on their mandate. Also tonight, police ask businessman Jimmy Wanjigi to surrender himself for questioning for allegedly funding anti-government protests following a raid on his Muthaiga home.
The ayes have it, and the motion is passed, and the governor stands peace by the County Assembly of Meru.
And Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza impeached for the third time after 49 MCSs vote in favor of her removal, despite 17 opposing votes amid allegations of abuse of office. Now, our sign language interpreter tonight is Walter Asewe, and just a reminder that we do have our reporter on the ground who will be bringing us up to date, and that is Martin Opio. He will be bringing us up to date later on what is happening as far as the case of Wanjigi is concerned. Of course, today afternoon, there are heavy police presence outside his residence with claims that he's been funding the anti-government protests in the country, and that is why they are pursuing him allegedly to get to arrest him and bring him in for questioning as far as the protests are concerned. That will be coming in this particular bulletin, so stay tuned with us here on K24 Evening Edition, because that particular report will be coming your way in just a short while. Now, let's continue with other news that have been making headlines in the country today. Now, in a bid to thwart the planned Nane Nane march, the police were forced to barricade major roads to block perceived protesters from accessing the central business district. Now, the law enforcers erected roadblocks on various roads, including Thika and Langata Road. However, Azian Ketani now files, in the midst of it all, journalists from MediaMax were roughed up by goons in Githurai.
Nane Nane March. Gen Z protesters were today expected to turn out in large numbers at the Central Business District in a bid to pile more pressure on President William Ruto to vacate office. However, police officers were forced to deploy a different strategy to quell the protest and contain the numbers, having witnessed thousands of protesters participate in the June and July wave of protests. Along Thika Road, the law enforcers erected roadblocks in Githurai, with public service vehicles not allowed to make their way to the Central Business District.
Lazima tuende CBD. Mbona wazuie magari? Watu wanapoteza biashara. Sisi hatuna shida na mtu yote ambaye anafanya biashara.
The PSVs were forced to go back to the routes they came from. Most of the passengers forced to alight and find alternative means, with hundreds of youths seen pitching tent along the sides of the road. In our quest to follow up on the happenings across the Githurai area, our crew were accosted by a mob of goons at the Githurai roundabout, making way with several equipments. The incident happened at midday. Elsewhere at Nyerere Road, police officers barricaded the road leading to State House Nairobi, with no one being let through. The presence of police was also seen at the AIC Milimani route of Valley Road, the road leading to State House Nairobi. The situation was the same along Ngong Road, the officers inspecting public service vehicles, a roadblock erected along the road leading to Daystar University. It seemingly being the strategy deployed to thwart protesters from accessing the CBD. There was a roadblock along Langata Road, just before Langata Barracks. And just like Thika Road, only personal cars were let through. Ian Keitani, K24 TV, Nairobi.
Now, thank you, Ian Ketani, for that particular report. Still on that, business owners in Nairobi have expressed their growing frustration with the ongoing Gen Z-led demonstrations that have persisted for nearly 2 months now. Now, the protests, which were initially peaceful, have become increasingly disruptive, leading to significant financial losses for entrepreneurs who are not only grappling with a decline in customers, but also facing the threat of looting, forcing many to close their shops. Here is Ben Kirira with more details.
Kirinyaga Road, the usually crowded street known for its thriving trade in car parts and busy mechanics, was almost deserted. As we move further down to Kariakor, we meet Robert Gitonga, a businessman who specializes in transporting parcels between Nairobi and Meru. Today, however, Robert was unable to work.
Hatuwezi pata mizigo ya kununua kwa sababu ya kubeba kwa sababu wale watu ambao wananunua mizigo ndio tubebe hawako. Na pia wale wangekuja kununua mizigo pia ili tuweze kubeba pia hawajakuja, so ni kama wanaogopa maandamano.
Frederick Othiambo, a mechanic in Kariakor, echoes Robert's sentiments, noting a sharp decline in business due to the demonstrations.
Kwa leo na imekuwa chini juu umejua sasa watu wengi hawawezi leta kazi kulingana na watu wengi kama magari wameweka kwa maparking.
Sasa ni mwendo wa saa 6 na watu wanafunga virago vyao, wanaogopa kunyang'anywa. Uwe customer, uwe mfanyabiashara, wakati askari wamekuja ni kutupa tear gas ovyo ovyo na kutupa risasi ovyo ovyo.
David Mbogwa, a bus driver in Nairobi, also expressed his frustration, revealing how the demonstrations have drastically reduced his daily earnings.
Hii gari inafaa iweke kama ngiri 6 mchana. Ili hali wakati kama wa leo nalilia tu nipate pesa kidogo ya kunisimamia insurance ama mguu. Upande kama wasako hakuna. Leo nitaenda sikudi kama 3 na ninafaa niende sikudi 7.
Kuna watu wako na madeni na wanapasiwa mwisho wa mwezi walipe hizo deni. Hii mambo ikiendelea namna hiyo ni kuonekana ya kwamba kuna watu wataanza kuchotwa.
On Ronald Ngala Street, business owners took matters into their own hands, arming themselves with canes to protect their shops from looters disguised as protesters. This measure appeared effective as the demonstrators confined their activities to the tarmac.
Nimekuja kuchunga hizi banduka, wakivunja banduka leo kama hawa hizi watu wakidemonstrate ni sawa. Lakini kuna wengine ndani wa hizi wanaiba mpaka banduka. Kesho wakivuka banduka wakivunja, tutafanya kazi wapi?
The business community is now urging both the government and the protest leaders to engage in dialogue and find a resolution that will allow them to resume their livelihoods without fear.
Tungeomba upande wa serikali baada waadhiriwa agency wakae chini waongee.
All we ask is new governance and new good works. Ndio hadi kila mtu upande wetu waendelee kufanya kazi and sisi tukiumia hizo taxes tutalipa aje.
Business owners in Nairobi's Central Business District have expressed their concerns that the ongoing demonstrations are causing more harm than good. Many have had to keep their shops closed, worsening the already challenging economic times. Ben Kirera, K24, Nairobi.
Now, police have launched a manhunt for businessman Jimmy Wanjigi, who they want to surrender to authorities. Now, Acting Inspector General of Police, that is Gilbert Masengeli, now says that 40 gas canisters were recovered from a car at his gate. The businessman, however, claims political witch hunt. Martin Opio now reports.
Thursday evening at the home of businessman Jimmy Wanjigi. Police would lay a siege minutes after the businessman is said to have been tear-gassed from the demonstrations within the CBD.
Police have not told us of any other reason. We just believe this is harassment in connection or in light of the protests that have been going on, which today he participated. He went out and went to town, and the way the police have been chasing demonstrators, he also chased and came back home. Yeah.
So apparently they came and followed him.
So they came and followed him with a vehicle, which has been towed away. And we are still to hear what is why the policemen took away that vehicle.
After a few minutes, police would declare the entrance to the gate of Wanjigi as a crime scene as they come through and dusting 2 vehicles at the entrance. Inside the vehicle, tear gas canisters and communication devices would be recovered, with the police towing away the vehicle. His lawyer, Nelson Osiemo, is however disassociating his client from the ownership of the vehicles.
I came late. I don't know what was lined up from the vehicle, but what I can say, that vehicle does not belong to him. So it's the police to tell us where they got that vehicle from, because him was chased and he came back home early. If that vehicle belonged to this compound, the watchmen would have opened the gate to allow the vehicle to get in.
While addressing the media this evening at Jogo House, Acting Inspector General of Police confirmed the police operation and the items allegedly recovered from the vehicle.
Today, we intercepted a personal motor vehicle, Brado model KDC 883R in Mudaika, at the residence of Jimmy Wanjigi. In the vehicle, we have recovered 4 tear gas canister, 2 Motorola gadgets, 7 assorted chargers for the pocket phones, and 1 mobile phone. Investigators are on the ground and to ascertain more details.
The police now want Jimmy Wanjigi to surrender to the police.
That has happened there, but still there's 1 motor vehicle that managed to enter the compound and they closed behind it. Our appeal is that he surrenders to the nearest police station whatsoever.
But his son is reading malice and blames it on political warfare. The towed vehicle is currently at a Central Police Station. Wanjigi was in 2017 under 20-hour siege from the police, where police alleged that they were looking for assorted weapons in his Muthaiga home. Martin Opio, K24 TV, Nairobi.
All right, on that particular front, on that particular story also, of course, we'll be joining our reporter, Martin Opio, who is on the ground as far as this is concerned. And just reports that we are getting is that heavy police presence is still being felt, and being felt at the residence of, that is, Jimmy Wanjigi at the moment. And we'll be getting the details of that with our reporter, Martin Opio, in this particular program. Of course, he did take to the social platforms earlier on at around 4 p.m. to just say that he's worried about his safety because he had noticed something amiss when it comes to police officers and police vehicles outside his residence. Of course, following to all what we are doing right now, which is the coverage of that particular situation. Now, more than 150 people have been arrested and over 30 others injured in today's demonstrations in the heart of Nairobi city. Now, police used tear gas to disperse groups of youth who were demonstrating while blocking passenger vehicles from entering the city center of Nairobi. According to the Acting Inspector General of Police, Gibson Masengeli, 1 police officer was injured in Nairobi. David Kagina now reports.
Police in Nairobi intensified their vigilance with security tightened across all routes leading to the city's central business district to deter protesters ahead of the highly anticipated Nane demonstrations.
Today, minimal skirmishes were witnessed in downtown Nairobi, Kisii and Migori towns, where attempts by goons to loot property was effectively thwarted by police officers.
From 11 o'clock, chaos erupted in the CBD as police clashed with demonstrators during the August 8th protests. The city center turned into a battleground as tear gas filled the air and running battles ensued. Police officers were seen clearing the area, with businesses closing down and public service vehicles leaving. The situation remained tense for the better part of the day. According to the Acting Inspector General of Police, Gibson Masengeli, over 120 were arrested in relation to the protests in Nairobi.
In Nairobi, where 1 officer was injured, we also arrested a total of 174 suspects. That is 126 in Nairobi, 22 in Kitengela, Rift Valley, 26 at Emali in Kwenye County.
K24 has established that more than 30 people were injured today, most sustaining injuries from exploding tear gas canisters, some being clobbered by the police, some got injured while fleeing, and some having respiratory difficulties from the billows of smoke in the city center. We caught up with Philip, alias Generali, as well-wishers brought him to a city hospital to receive treatment.
So ile process ya kupiga kelele, Ruto must go kwa sababu hiyo ndo tulikuja kufanya. Polisi wakakuja wakanigonga canister ya kwanza hapo kwa mguu, kaumia, jamaa akaniokolea. So kidogo ikachukua like kitu kama 30 minutes. But yenye na believe ilikuwa ni njama. So kuna kakiwete alikuwa kwa kona fulani. Wakarusha tear gas, then ilikuwa live kwa TikTok. Watu wakaniambia okoa huyo jamaa, achana live kwanza. So najua tear gas ni moshi, nikafunga bendera ndio niingie ni okoe. So sikuwa naona kuingia huko ndani, nikakutana na polisi head on. Ndio sasa kanigonga hii ya left, so ya left na hii move kabisa.
Journalists covering the demonstrations were not spared either, and when we posed the question of police aggression to the acting Inspector General, this is what he had to say.
We've had no report of the same, but we'll investigate and find out of the instance.
Many protesters condemned the excessive use of force by the police.
They say the police have brought violence to the peaceful protests. And that is uncalled for, unprovoked at the end of the day.
We have a constitution, we have laws, and we have seen how the police are openly violating the constitution, violating the laws with impunity.
Today was anticipated to be the culmination of the Gen Z protest, with the demonstrators demanding greater accountability from the Kenyan government.
Whether the Nane protests achieved their goal is debatable. However, fact is, activities were not as usual within Nairobi's CBD on 8th of August 2024. David Kagina, K24, Nairobi.
We interrupt this program to bring you some breaking news.
Meet the team of undercover teenage spies working for a fictional version of the secret intelligence